Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wales of Wall Street. We have Veracity on our radar here, VRA on the chart. Before we go into the price and everything like that, we want to just go for a few quick top line points here for Veracity. Some good movements on the website updates, the roadmap of course, and this cheeky article here. So we're looking at Veracity announcing proof of view, POV. We talked about this quite a lot last year for sure. One of the key aspects of Veracity around the proof of view mechanism. And we'll go into the ad stacking perspective as well shortly. But this is about passing its examination by the People's Republic of China National Intellectual Property Administration. Could that be any longer? I mean, really, it must be an abbreviation, I'm sure. PRCNIPA. I have no idea. Anyway, becoming the first ad tech module based on blockchain technology, patent approval in China. I think that's quite big news actually, because I don't listen to propaganda nonsense and the news. I haven't watched the news for years, but I know obviously there's always this talk about China this, America this, anyway, blah blah. But I know as well, in general for China, they have quite high standards, especially when it comes to technology and security and this, that, and the other, right? So I think this is quite a big thing, actually. So the first ad tech module. So they're gone ahead of course, many other competitors out there. Theta, we got a video on later, and I'll tell you why in that one in a minute. But what I'm really interested in is, the development of that, because we've also got the proof of view patents going on with America. I think there's like 2 or 3 different ones. In fact, I think in general they've got well over 10, and of course they've got the NFT one going through as well, like the proof of ownership kind of aspect. So I think this is really interesting to see the mechanism. Of course, one thing I would pick out from the proof of view mechanism, of course, they don't have things like Google and stuff. Okay, so therefore I don't think they have YouTube either. I'm pretty sure of that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is the thing here. So China, after the US, which we covered last year with Veracity, is why it's such a big market. Okay, $120 billion on advertising is spent within China. 65% of them ad served online. So the market is gigantic. And to get ahead in the game in terms of standardization and being, essentially patent approved, as it were, I think it's an incredible, fantastic move from Veracity. Now, Veracity do so much with communication and partnerships and stuff like that. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the development of this. But one thing I wanted to pick out as well is in all the research I've done on gaming over the years, and the reason I'm bringing that in is because Vera has the Vera Esports, which is part of the whole being able to watch streams and getting rewarded for them. And I think China is such a huge gaming market. We're talking about advertising here, particularly in this advert, but there's no doubt in my mind that the market already, this whole proof of view mechanism will definitely, cross over, in my opinion, to the gaming side of things as well. Absolutely staggering numbers. And I even remember a few years back, when, from esports partnerships that I was working on, looking at these things called like Chinese like gaming farms. So pretty much like schools, but like just for gaming, and they like literally have like these camp things, like summer camp kind of things. Like there were, I don't know, 100,000 like kids and stuff in there, just literally all in a line on LAN platforms and PCs and stuff, just playing games, and they were basically being educated to be the best in the world. So I had this vision, like maybe in 5-10 years time, when esports, it's already kicked off, of course, but I'm talking about the next generation of esports viewership, engagement, commercial spend, all of this stuff, that China will probably have majority of the esports teams out there, and very hard to beat, no doubt. So that there's definitely loads of things going on. In fact, actually, there's mentions here about Veracity around its esports. So I would, like I said, this is all around advertising, absolutely, but I definitely would 100% believe that there's a big part of the esports section here for the Chinese market as well to go to. So just want to bring that to your attention. But that leads us nicely on to this awesome piece of news. So the new roadmap has come out from Veracity. I'm not going to go through this article. You can read it on their Medium, but I'd rather show you it to you. look at this nice, jazzy, new, arguably simplistic, but arguably kind of really cool and techie at the same time. Real simple introductions to their key services that we cover all the time here. VRA Sports, VRA Wallet, of course, for the staking and being able to hold your tokens safely. I do need to check, actually. I'm pretty sure the ledger still doesn't work with it, which is a bit of a shame if it's not, but it's part and parcel at the moment until they do it. And then the VRA views around ad tech. So, of course, we had the recent announcement that we covered, it must have been like 3 or 4 weeks ago now. But yeah, the actual aspect of the partnership with Brightcove for the ad stacking. So that's really cool to see they're pushing that on the website more and more as well. But I just think it looks tidy. It looks really tidy. Loads of elements of like different articles that they can put out here as well. But more importantly for this particular video is the roadmap 2021. So someone actually picked up, I can't remember what the comment was, but something they didn't achieve, but I think they cheekily took it out and maybe perhaps moved it to this year. So that's quite interesting. I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but whoever it was out there, I'm sure you remember and understand that I'm plugging you here to remind me. But yeah, loads has been going on. I mean, irrespective of that, I think it's absolutely brilliant 2021 for Veracity. I think the price point for sure on the chart, which is understandably growing, albeit it could be larger, and I'm sure it will be. But for the time being, it's really pleasing to see they pretty much, if it was a case of one left over, it's probably good 95-96% complete, right? So 2022, constant improvements basically. I don't know why they've done this, but they've done it in reverse. So for me particularly, I was quite interested and excited about the major official tournaments. So I think they've got something like 18 major tournaments lined up for this year. Now, you might not think that's enough or a big number, but I can assure you to activate and organize major esports events is a humongous task with a number of people required for sure. What would be really cool is if they brought that to the major live streaming and live events, as in physical events, maybe one day. But this is really huge for me as a gamer and everything. But I don't want to focus too much on esports because I don't want to deter people thinking, oh, it's just a gaming thing. Yeah, this is all about also advertising and removing fraud, making sure that companies don't get missing out on extra revenues for fake views and things like this. So there's loads of really cool stuff it does. And from a user perspective, like you and I being an investor, for example, as a retail investor, we do have awesome opportunities. For example, like using the VRA wallet to stake, which is still, I believe, 25 something percent APY. From what I remember, every March or every 2 years maybe, the APY tends to reduce. So it'd be interesting to see if they hold the ground on 25 or so percent this year round. But either way, I'm sure it'd be still a good, healthy reward and return, regardless to what that might be. But hopefully they can keep it near that. Otherwise, it might drop, I don't know, 15-16%. I'm just speculating here, but really, really excited to see those developments. And someone asked in the comments in the last Veracity video, do I stake? So I've mentioned a few videos back, I don't actually. Reason being is I'm not an absolute whale when it comes to Veracity. I've been accumulating as much as I can every now and then. And the only reason I haven't is because Qcoin asks, I think it's like 2,000 Veracity, which is okay, I guess. But for the return, it's like, well, if I was leaving it in there a long time, absolutely would not worry about it, but it would take a few months, I guess, to accumulate the return on that. I'd rather wait till I had a lot more, and I'm not far off being comfortable to doing that. It wasn't so much the return, because I think the return you have to have 700 Veracity to do that as well. It might have reduced a bit more, I can't remember. But yeah, for me, that's the reason why I haven't. So I'm more than happy to be accumulating, and also it's probably one of the very small handful of assets that I have that I haven't taken off the exchange or put in a ledger or anything like that. Purely because I think Veracity has some really good moves coming in the short-term future for sure, and this year in general. And I thought, well, if I put this into staking now, I want to put if everything in there, if not a high majority. And if I did that, I probably wouldn't have too much left over to take advantage of. So that's why I paused it a bit. But I'm probably going to change my mind potentially by the end of this month, depending how much more I can add to my portfolio. But we'll go into that a bit more detail on the chart as to why that is in a second, because you might see the moves that happened today are one of the reasons why I'm trying to keep it balanced in my mind. So other things as well, proof of view enabled smart contracts for NFTs. This is a big topic that we covered towards the end of last year. Again, more patents going through for that, and the NFT marketplace in general. Development and closed beta for gaming publishers. Wow, I'm really excited about this. So I don't know if we mentioned in the previous videos on that, but I do invest in another project called Ultra UOS, doing massive things with blockchain gaming. That will be launching soon as well. So there's a bit of a race going on with loads of companies here in regards to trying to be a publish house almost, or a holder house for gaming publishers. And this is great because for many years gamers, or like creators of games, have been kind of dictated to by crazy fees from the likes of Apple and Google Play and stuff like that, from especially mobile gaming. And even in platform gaming, there's always been a substantial monopoly, really. You think of like Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, all of those kind of guys. And some of them will help, I think, with the transition to blockchain, because I don't think they have the abilities to switch over themselves, which is why you're seeing a lot of these projects taking over quite quickly. It's giving everyone more freedom and more reward, and that rightly so. I think so much work goes into games and stuff. I mean, I'm involved in some at the moment. It's just like absolutely mental to see the daily work that goes into it. Absolutely incredible. So very cool. Live chat functionality for events. There's loads of other cool additional features towards the platforms they've already got. And then as the year goes through further, it's very much in-game redeemable NFT item creations. How cool is that? I had this philosophy a couple of years ago when I heard about the opportunity for NFTs and blockchain. And I thought, I can imagine one day you're like watching the football or something on TV, and then a goal scored and a QR code comes up, and you have to be really quick because there's only like 100 editions of that particular goal scored or that angle, and people can just jump on it and grab it, that kind of thing, or have like unlimited but in like tiered structures of legendary, rare, whatever. And I think this is really cool. So in-game redeemable NFT item creation. Now, can you imagine the commercial aspect of this? Like brands who already advertise on esports and stuff, that they could actually have like NFTs given out. Imagine Nike sponsoring an advert like they would normally do with banners and stuff, except this time it's a QR code to download some NFT trainers. How cool would that be? So really cool interlacing projects here for Veracity. Further website revamp, which is interesting, for the VRA wallet. End of the year, which is interesting. I wonder why they're leaving it to the end. Could that be tied in with something organically with what might be going on with the maybe the staking or the opportunity? Maybe, just maybe, they're interlacing some things outside of it, like ledgers and more security and stuff like that. Really interested to see how that develops, but loads of stuff going on. Improved account security by introducing phone number multi-factor authentication, which is fantastic. So I think at the moment it's running currently on mine on Microsoft 2FA. So interesting to see how it works with the phone number. Of course, this in particular actually is interesting in general with blockchain and so on, because I know like in Africa, like PundiX and stuff, and other projects, they're focusing more on people's phone numbers being like the actual account number, which is really interesting. So of course in an existing system, so it would make sense to transition. And new video library tagging and categorizing. So there's loads of really cool features going on. But general and Veracity, I think the project's phenomenal. It's going to keep growing, and that's why I'm heavily trying to invest more and more into this one. Really cool stuff. So let us know in the comments below what you think about all of this so far. Is there anything on the roadmap this year that you feel like is missing, or something they perhaps should have focused on a bit more? Do let us know. We know that Veracity is very responsive to people's requests and thoughts when it comes to feedback and stuff. And one of the founders, Mark, is very passionate about the project. So do always try and provide some feedback to those guys as well as us, and we can help if needed. But let's look at the chart, guys. The reason I wanted to talk about this in a bit more detail. So today there's a few things going on with some failed leverages, as always, in some of the other assets, which is pulling Bitcoin down mainly as well, which again pulls the chart down a bit more. But we kind of have to be a bit realistic about this, because in majority of charts, like we covered, MTV is very similar, albeit that this isn't quite a full V. It's more of a, I don't know, bent U or something. But the fundamental point I wanted to make here is that we've had this drop down that lasted very much a good 2 weeks. We've had some movement upwards, and of course, naturally, people are going to take profit, understandably, because we've moved from a lower point of 2.2 cents here all the way up to the high regions of very much 3.5 cents. So it's a really nice move. And in fact, let's just measure that up. So we're looking at around about why on earth is that sideways? Why on earth is that sideways? Right. So we're going up around about 57%, which is absolutely brilliant move over such a short space of time. Now we're on our way down a bit more because of the correction of profit taking and a few other market trends as well. But very much interestingly, moving along the lines of what we've seen in previous data. Now I drew this orange line in because that's crazy. Okay, so I drew this line in literally about, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes ago. One, because I saw the movement moving down, and that's where I was going to put my buy order, very much just over, I think I literally put it in at 2.7 something cents. So I think that's pretty much come in. I have to double check. The reason I put that in there was because of this area here back in August, and these touch points down here in September. That is why I put them in there. One, because of this area here, and then the drop down. So I thought we might come and test those regions again, which we appear to have done. But will we come down a bit lower? That is a possibility, of course. Maybe, just maybe, to test this area back down here at 2.6. So I'm probably going to be cheeky and maybe arguably greedy, and maybe, just maybe, see if I need to put anything perhaps in this region here, between sort of, I don't know, 2.6 to 2.7. So we already hit this marker. I think I did it 2.7. I think I was bang on, actually. 2.77 is where I put it. I've missed it by a small amount. I'm not sure. I have to check. So yeah, that's where I'm going to put a second order in. Will it come down lower than that? Well, that'd be a bit disappointing if it does. But I think on the lower spectrum, that's where I'll probably put the second order of just over 2.5 cents. As we are on this reduction movement here. So the reason I'm just not being too mega excited about that is because we're in, arguably, albeit it looks like it's going down, we're in a bit of a forward moving bullish trend here. So we switch over on the MACD on the 11th of January. Very nice widening of gap of the MACDs here. And that looks like it's continuing. It's not like it's dropped sharply or anything like that. It's, to be fair, today's move downwards has, you can't really see it until you kind of zoom in, but it's retracted quite well already, and back onto this fib retracement line here at just literally under 3 cents, but it's sitting at 2.94 cents at the moment ish. Yeah. So really interested to see where that ends up at the close, which is probably in 3 or 4 hours time. Then we can conclude a bit more as to where we might be going with this. Hopefully it maintains that support there, which would be absolutely brilliant, because then we get a nice hopeful wave back up, and we can start properly testing those 3.2 and 3.45 marks again as well. And especially where we had interesting moves here at the top end of 3.5, and lining up very nicely with other previous trends that we saw in 2021 and more recently in December as well last year. So that's really interesting to see. On the RSIs, well, what's going on? We've had the lower regions in the RSI on the 8th of January. So 14, 28 and 90 days respectively. We had 29, 37 and 46. Now literally pretty much floating at an area I perceive as a good entry point, albeit we were lower earlier. I would still not be angry to be purchasing here right now with a lowered risk of it coming down a lot further, purely because we had this sell-off period here, very minimal, which indicates, because we had such a big one here with a nice intake, but people are starting to believe again in the confidence of Veracity, building the momentum. There's a nice foundation now. This wave in isn't huge either, but that's why I think we're in a bit of a balancing mode. So we might see a 2 or 3 days of stability at the area we are currently floating at, so around this 2.93 cent mark, and then we make a decision in a few days time. But like I said, being at 42 and 42 on the 14 and 28 day respectively on the RSI, this is really nice, healthy kind of area for me personally. So that's why I put in one slightly lower, just in case of a bit of a drop down further. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this swing around over the next few days as well. And on that note, performance wise, 7% up on the week. We are showing 16% down on the month, which is reducing every day, which is really good to see. The 3 months is now showing 50, so that's coming down as well. So it's going to be probably till the end of the month and maybe into February where we might start to see those swinging into greens. And I think that means when that kind of happens, we will arguably know that hopefully we might be well over this 3.5, maybe even towards the 4 cent mark again. We'll have to see how that goes. But I'd love to see now this nice healthy pattern upwards where we see new higher lows each time we have a correction, building ourselves back up to this move, so that hopefully when we look at this maybe in a few weeks time, or maybe at least this time next month, who knows, not saying it's going to go into this kind of trajectory like shape, but I'd love us to be able to have this kind of wave pattern that then brings us up to these areas here in the coming months. I mean, that would be brilliant to see. And who knows, we might as soon as possible start attacking those previous levels of around up here at 8.7 cents. I would love us to smash that and get it through. Can we get to our 21 cent price prediction that we had last year in 2022 in the bull run? I still believe that's possible, especially now looking at that very healthy roadmap that's coming in the months to come, and well, the whole year basically. So that's going to be really interesting to monitor that. But let us know what you think about in the comments below on all of this, including the roadmap. And have you been buying in the last few hours, or if not last couple of days, in this small drop that we're seeing? Let us know. And until the next video, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.